Hey, Matt Allen here with TacticalBassin. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about some simple modifications you can do to swim jigs. We've already talked about traditional jigs, football jigs, things like that. Some modifications you can do to get the bait to look a little different than what everybody else is throwing. Now I'm going to talk about swim jigs. I've got the swim jig that you see me talk about so regularly, and then also the Switchblade Jig. We'll talk about that one too. Just some simple things that you can do to get your jig to run a little bit differently than everybody else, maybe get a little bit better action out of it. So let's head on over to the counter and we'll start working on these jigs. Alright, here we are. Now what I want to talk to you about, like I said, is just some simple modifications you can do. Now honestly, with the swim jig that I talk about so much, this one, there are very few modifications that I do. The skirt is the right length for the RoboWorm Easy Shad. Everything works really well. The only thing that I'll occasionally do is trim the weed guard a little bit, but even that really is not much of a big deal. I like to fish this one just like it is. That's why I insist so much that people use the RoboWorm Easy Shad. See, a lot of trailers will look similar, but when you actually get out and fish them, they're not. They fish very, very differently, and some will not work right when combined with a skirt. You get that material back there, and it just starts interfering with the action of the jig. So either use a RoboWorm Easy Shad like I've been saying, or if you decide to go another route, what I would recommend is then taking the skirt, and pull this trailer off here, taking the skirt and laying it back, and just trimming a little bit off the end. And that should be enough to get you the action out of other trailers. If not, keep trimming it back up until the trailer starts to work right. The reason why they won't work is that the skirt moving in the water will interfere with the water running down the bait and causing that tail to wiggle from side to side. So you remove just enough material to stop that interference. Now, moving on to the Switchblade Jig. Once I switch over to the Switchblade, there it's a little bit more important to work on that skirt, and the reason why is, as you can see, the skirt material is hanging clear down around the blade. Now that can be a problem. The reason why is if I fish this like it is and I start swimming that jig, all the blade is actually going to do is just kind of wobble and be very erratic. You're not going to get the rotation that you want out of it because, again, the skirt is interfering with it. So what we'll do there is very, very simple. Same thing. Just trim some of that material away. Not a whole lot. We don't need to take too much out of there. Just enough to stop interfering. Now, people were also asking, could they do it with the shearing scissors as well? And absolutely, you can do that too, because that does get the skirt to move in a little bit different way, get some different action out of it, which is great. So we'll go ahead and do that too. Kind of change the length of some of those strands. And that makes all the difference in the world. Now you're going to get a lot better movement out of the jig as a whole, plus that blade will be back there spinning and rotating just like you want it to. And at the end of the day, you're just going to put more fish in the boat. So very, very simple. Trim that weed guard if you have to, but don't trim much. One other thing I will say is if you're going to trim a weed guard, always trim off the back side. From the side where the hook is, not where the eyelet is. And when you do it, simply remove strands. You know, get a couple strands, grab a pair of pliers, and actually pull them out instead of just cutting them off. If you're cutting strands off, you're making the rest of the weed guard stiffer, is all you're doing. If you're actually removing strands, then it'll lay down more smoothly. I think that's about it. That's all I do with these swim jigs. They're very straightforward baits. They fish very, very well with just a couple of little tweaks. I hope this helps. Have a great day.